Okay, we are just about to get started on this one. Um, cool. Making a sweet. Awesome. Thanks for coming along, boys and girls, for our webinar, How to Lose 10 Kilos in 8 Weeks. I understand that if you haven't got 10 kilos to lose, you're not going to want to lose 10 kilos, right? So the processes that we're going to go through tonight are going to be pretty much how you can strip down some body fat and either maintain or even increase your lean muscle mass, giving that tight tone, terrific physique that 99% of the population loves. I know there's a few new people on board tonight, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Jason. I am the director at ProFit International Health and Fitness. I've been doing this a very long time. A little bit about me, just so I'm not a complete stranger to everybody. A couple of years ago, I was sitting at about between 70 and 75K, ringing wet, completely underweight, walked around with the wings flared out like I owned the place, right? Unbeknownst to me, I didn't. Also, on the other end of the spectrum, a couple of years ago, dealing with, depression and on some heavy antidepressants, I actually peaked at 115 kilos. Not a good looking 115 kilos, but quite overweight. So I know what it's like to be on both ends of the spectrum. They're both under and overweight. I'm going to run you through some of the tools tonight as to how I personally strip some body fat. I weighed in this morning at about 98 kilos. Abs are out. There's looking and feeling great. That's the main thing tonight. Thank you everybody on Zoom who has who's registered and jumped on board tonight. I'm actually going to send everybody on Zoom a little bit of a free gift. So hang around to the end for that one. Be sure to check your emails tomorrow. I'm going to hook you up with something special for this one. Facebook. Thank you to everybody on Facebook as well. We are broadcasting live in our VIP group. Just on that, if you're not in our VIP group, shoot me a message and I'll add you to that one. Just ProFit International Health and Fitness VIP group. Nothing fancy about the name. We're an imaginative bunch, us trainers. Cool. Shoot me a PM, just Jason Gent, as you can see on the screen up there. And I will add you to that group ASAP. Sounds cool. Where else we broadcasting? If you're watching a recording on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us wherever in the world you are. We are based in sunny southeast Queensland, Australia. So if you happen to be overseas, abroad, over in the States, I know I've got some mates over in Canada. The processes that we talk about here and the supplements and the bulk of what we talk about is Australian. However, again, the bulk of it can be transferred to either US or wherever in the world you are. It is completely transferable. Of course, the measurements and all of that sort of the nitty-gritty stuff might need a few tweaks. Of course, if you do need a hand with that, feel free to send me a message and we're going to help you out with that one. So I know this webinar is predominantly about stripping some body fat down and keeping the weight off, having you tight tone terrific. We do have an 8-week challenge starting this Sunday, 22nd, I believe it is, 22nd of whatever month we're in, September. Anybody who is doing that challenge, I strongly recommend you hang on to the end, and we will. I'm actually going to help set you up and get the ball rolling for your 8-week challenge here. I'm going to give you the rundown of how to make the best out of this one. So hang around to the end. We've got a lot to cover before then. Like I said, we're just going to strip some body fat down. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff here. Let's jump straight in. There's heaps to do here. Okay, so we're looking at a few things tonight. We're going to look at nutrition. We're going to look at training. We're going to look at mindset, and we're going to look at recovery. They're the big four for any sort of body transformations. Oh, I should ask you, look, if you do have any questions, feel free to throw them up either in our Facebook Live group or through Zoom. We're here to help, of course, so it is completely interactive. If you happen to be watching a recording of this, feel free to shoot me a PM and I'll help you out with that. But cool, let's jump straight in. So we're going to kick things off with nutrition, right? So in order, we need to look at how you actually use your calories. So it's calories in versus calories out. At the end of the day, that's what matters. It's not quite that black and white. Actually, it's nowhere near being that black and white. If you put in more calories than you expend, you're going to gain weight, right? And if you exceed your what am I trying to say? If you use more calories than you put in, there we go. You're going to drop weight, right? So it's that simple. You base them throughout the day, or you can base them. You can get a little bit more technical and base them from meal to meal. It's just like you're driving your car. You want to go to the coast for the day. You put enough fuel into the body, and it will enough fuel to see you to your destination, right? And once you get to that destination, you top up again, and then you head back, right? And that's the basic bones of it, right? So you need to understand how many calories you're expending. I personally go from meal to meal. Actually, no, I've changed that lately. Actually, I've tweaked my nutrition. General nutrition, you go from meal to meal. It is a little bit more in depth, but and it takes a little bit longer to actually wrap your head around those sorts of things. But that's what you work out. You work out how many calories you need. So for round figures, let's say you burn 500 calories from meal 1 to meal 2. You want to lose weight, so let's drop that about 20%. Let's go to, actually, no, I'm not going to do 20% because I'm useless at math. Let's drop it about 50 calories, right? So 450 calories you consume at meal 1 to see you through that 500 calories that you need to get you to meal 2, okay? That's the basic calories in versus calories out concept. However, to dive in a little bit deeper, we also need to look at the nutrients. So your micronutrients, your protein, your vitamins and minerals, and that's the service on that car. So you want that car to be running as effectively as possible. You want to get to the coast in one piece safely. You want to get there quickly, and you want to get there in comfort. You have the aircon on. It's 35 degrees down the Gold Coast. That's where the nutrients, the micronutrients come into play. It's safe and effective. The car's working for you to get you to that goal. You're not going to try and push that car down. That's, you want the car to do the work, right? So that's where the nutrients come in. We kickstart the body, we kickstart the metabolism, and everything will start to work a little bit more effectively. That's where the nutrients are. Diets. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of diets. I'm just going to be a little bit all over the place with nutrition on this one. Diets themselves tend to restrict what you can eat. The only thing you should be restricting are your food-like products. Okay, so there's foods, and then there's food-like products. Diets, regardless of the diet you're on, you're going to limit something. So I actually don't. I don't necessarily condone diets in any way, shape, or form. It's all about a healthy eating, a healthy respect for foods. I mean, actual foods. I do want to touch on the Heart Foundation pyramid. We all know the Heart Foundation pyramid, right? That the triangle you used to get on the back of your cereal packets. The bottom one would be your carbohydrates. The next one, actually don't even know. I can't even remember what it is now. Fruits, veg, meats, dairy, sugars at the top. Is that right? Look, throw that out the window. It's outdated. I don't want you listening to that one at all at the moment. It's if we start to look at even carbohydrates, let's say carbohydrates at the moment, the way the fitness and the health and the nutrition industry is going, we're finding new ways to access our energy stores, right, in body fat. It's been long believed that sugar was the only way was the only energy the body could have, meaning carbohydrates. And once they were depleted, we had to search for other stores, and those nutrients had to be converted to glucose in order for the body to burn and continue on with life, right? With general day-to-day stuff. So, what should you be eating? Well, look, it varies from person to person. I'm going to assume that you don't have any allergies. Everything else sits in the body quite nicely. There's no, you're in good health, basically. There's nothing strange about you. So what should you be eating, and what are those macronutrient percentages? So your macronutrients, for starters, are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, your three main energy sources. You're going to throw alcohol in there, but that's something that we don't necessarily count. That's a whole new tangent that we can get into. But proteins, carbs, and fats, they're your big three. In terms of percentages, so I am going to actually give you some info that you can use here. So if you've got a pen and paper, or if you've got MyFitnessPal, feel free to write these ones down. As a rough stab, you want to look at about 35% each for proteins and carbohydrates, and the remaining 30% is going to be fats. Okay, so traditionally we'd start with about 50% carbohydrates because, hey, that's what we knew, that's what worked as an energy source for us. But it's turning into all the science behind these things starting to back up that it is possible to use alternate fuel sources other than carbohydrates, and that's where your fats come in, and why keto is so successful. And that's what I'm on at the moment, is keto, proper keto, not the stupid little 0% carbohydrate keto. If you do want to go into that track and learn a little bit more, shoot me a message, and I'll we'll hook up a time and I'll explain a little bit more for you, like proper keto. With that, I've dropped about 7 kilos. On a side note, just of body fat, it's absolutely brilliant. So they're your macronutrients, your percentages: 35, 35, and 30. Proteins, carbs, fats. Write them down, throw them into MyFitnessPal, and use them. Of course, if you do want to go down the keto track, it does get a little bit different. Let's leave it at that. Next one along, mindset. We're going to fly through a few of these things. Mindset is key to any sort of fitness regime that you're going to do. You need to be quite clear as to why you're doing this. And I don't mean, I'm not talking about I just want to lose weight, right? I want the why. And we spoke about this in a previous video. Why your mindset sucks. If you haven't seen that, flick back through our YouTube, and it will be up there. Understand your why, get the emotion behind it. So I want to lose weight. That's not a why, okay? I want to lose weight to move better. Okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. I want to lose weight to move better so I can play with my kids, or play with my grandkids, or play with a dog, or whatever it may be. That's getting the emotion behind it, and you can go down that rabbit hole. And I promise you, the deeper you go down that rabbit hole with the emotion, the better the result you're going to be. You'll get, right? Because you've got that fire under your ass. You're not going to rely on motivation. You're going to get that motivation to build the habits, which will the habits are going to keep you going, right? Number 2, be specific with what you want. There's no point saying, I want to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? Where do you want to lose it from? Why do you want to lose it from that area? Okay, how do you feel if you don't lose that weight? How do you feel if you do lose that weight? Okay, let's take measurements. Girth measurements are a brilliant tool to use. There's, as much as I love photos, and I recommend everybody take progress photos, they're not a specific type of measure. So how you track this: measurements, number 1, progress photos, number 2, and last but not least, I like to track a weight just out of curiosity. just because it will give you that. Like, Google it. You know, there's so many photos out there of women in particular do it. I'm going to stereotype here. Women in particular have got that transformation of being quite, I'm not going to say overweight because they're not overweight, but they don't have the tone about them. Let's say they sit at 70 kilos. Actually, let's drop it. Let's go to 60 kilos. Okay, they don't have the tone about them. They lose weight. They don't train. They just drop their calories, right? So they're down to 50 kilos and they look quite thin and quite sickly. Okay, then they gain weight. Now they're up to 65. So they're 5 kilos heavier than when they started, but they're into the weight. They're eating right. They're eating more. And they've got that tight tone, terrific body that they wanted. That's sort of the approach that we look at with weight. And it's more of a curiosity thing, but you know, it's something to track anyway. All right, have a plan. Plan is a big one, and again, back to my 8-week challenge. You will be getting a blank a weekly planner. Actually, it is something that you can print out. It's in half-hour increments, or if it's completely editable. So if you wanted to make changes to it, if you need 15-minute increments, sweet, get in there and change it. Print it out, fill out every line, get specific with it. And you know, if you've done any sort of one-on-one coaching with me, you know I'm big on this. I'm big on creating that structure. It's all about following that recipe. You know, if you're I know there's some chefs that'd be on board with this one. So you don't go changing the recipe to get the same result, right? You know, you got 2 patrons order the same food. You don't add sauce to this one and leave this one without sauce, right? So it's keeping that same recipe for everything that you're doing, right? So if that recipe doesn't work out, then we can start to change things. Then we can start to have a look at what's going on with the body. We can dig a bit deeper. We can even look at the biochemistry. We can look at the gut. We can look at all the bugs inside the body, all those. When I say bugs, I'm talking like bugs in the gut, in the intestinal tract, all the good stuff, the good juicy stuff that keeps us going. I'm not talking bugs as in disease and all that sort of yucky stuff. Last thing I want to touch on for mindset is how to overcome challenges. So you need to have this backup, the plan B, as it were. You need to have, look, shit's going to come up, right? It's called life. But let's say you get drawn out into a meeting. Okay, I know there's a few business peeps on board tonight. Stuck in a meeting. It's supposed to finish at 12. You're supposed to have lunch at 10 past 12. Okay, the meeting goes long. You're stuck in there for an extra half hour to an hour. What do you do, right? So you've always got that plan B. And I'm going to be a bit extreme here and say you've got a pocket full of mixed nuts, or a pocket full of cashews, or whatever. Okay, that's the plan B, and that's a bit of a silly example, but you get where I'm going with this one. Okay. Next one, let's look at recovery. So recovery is equally as important as the training, as the nutrition, as the sleep, as everything. You need to let the body recover in order for it to grow and repair. Okay. Stretch. Actually, I'll come back to stretches. Let's talk massage. Massage is basically, it works along the same concept as stretches. Basically, we've all heard of getting knots in our muscles, right? So as the muscle contracts and works, it essentially calcifies. So what a massage does is it gets into the muscle and breaks down that calcification, allowing the muscle to work in its full range of motion. You've got that nice stretching muscle that we all love. Meditation, again, great for the head. If you're not doing any sort of meditation, do it. I cannot recommend it enough. Mindfulness is another great form of meditation, and there's an emotional one as well where it gets quite a bit hippie, but it's a brilliant tool. The name of it escapes me. If you're not doing any meditation, yeah, get onto it. It's absolutely brilliant. And of course, you need to fuel the body correctly after recovery as well, during the recovery. Traditionally, that was considered to be like a protein shake within 30 minutes of finishing exercise. Again, science is sort of swaying. Well, there's nothing wrong with having a protein shake after exercise, but there's now options where you can continue to fast after your exercise and still have a brilliant body fat burn afterwards. So there's options there. All I'm going to say with that one is make sure you're fueling the body correctly in order for it to have the best chance at recovery and keeping things working for you. Stretches. I want to come back to stretches on this. So, do you stretch before or after training, right? So it's a question that I get quite often, to be quite honest. Both is a good answer, but it's a vague answer. Okay, so how the muscle actually works, you need to understand the biomechanics of the muscle itself. So you've got, I don't know if you can see my little, let's see if I can increase this a bit. There you go. That's okay. So with your muscle, you've got your actin and your myosin filaments. So they sit like so. And this is going to be there's going to be people out there that say, oh, that's not how it works. I get it. It's basic. Okay. Actin and myosin, they're your filaments in the muscle. So how the muscle contracts is they bite down on one another, right? So contract and then you release, contract and release. So if you're not stretching over time, they don't release as much and they just get tighter and tighter and tighter. And eventually that's how muscles snap and tear. So you actually have to tear them apart and they become quite sore and you go down the hospital track and it's nasty and you don't want to do that, right? But what stretching does, oops, get that out of the way. What have I done there? There we go. What stretching does, so as they get tighter and tighter and tighter, stretching will bring them back, okay? So post-workout, so after your workout, you do want to bring them back so that they're nice and supple again and they've got that full range of motion. And you'll have to do this a couple of times, not just immediately after the workout, but over the following days as well. Now, before you train, this is where it starts to get a little bit technical. So you do still want to stretch before you train, but you don't want to overstretch. Otherwise, they won't catch on, right? So that's the basics of it. Before training, you stretch light to moderate. After training, when the muscles are contracted, that's when you can have that really good, long, hard, deep stretch. Okay. Let's shrink my head back down there a bit. Let's move on. Onto the training. This is the fun stuff. And I know we're pushing it for time. Cool. Training. This is the cool stuff that everybody's after. Strength. There's multiple facets of training. Strength, cardio, flexibility, mobility. They're the big four that I look at. In my honest opinion, you can't have one without the other. You can be strong, but you can have shit cardiovascular health. What's the point of that? You're just not going to live long, right? So you need the strong heart, the strong lungs. You also need the strong muscles, the strength training, in order to avoid, once you get old, you've got reduced risk of osteoporosis, reduced risk of falls, you name it, it's there. So strength is important, cardio is important, flexibility, that goes back to your stretching, all of that stuff there. So your flexibility, if your muscles are tight, your range, so we get a little bit technical again, your range of motion. Let's say, I don't know if you can see this, bicep curl, all right? So my arm is fully extended, so a bicep curl, okay? If the muscle's tight, our fully extended arm becomes here. So that bicep is just overly tight. We're not getting that full extension like we should. That is our full range rather than, that sort of range. So your flexibility is super important. It will allow you to have a deeper range of motion, which will in turn give you a better result. Just get myself back comfortable again. Mobility. Who can't see the image? Can everybody see the image? I've just got a little message here. Okay, don't worry. All right, fine. Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves. Mobility, basically the same concept as flexibility, but mobility focuses in on the joints. Okay, so we look at the ligaments rather than the muscle body and the tendon itself. I can't see it. Okay, what image are we talking about here? Matter of fact, shoot me a message. I didn't put anything up. It's just the little, just my ugly mug in the corner there that I was demonstrating. Okay, cool. So they're the big four: strength, cardio, flexibility, mobility. Split sessions. Let's talk split sessions. I've got video sharing on. Okay. So split sessions. Anybody who's been to the gym before will, you'll be chatting to anybody in the weight section. So split sessions refer to upper body one day, lower body the next, or you've got, push pull legs is another nice little split that's definitely out there. It's basically breaking up the body. So instead of doing a full body day in, day out, you can let the muscles recover. So you'll train, let's say chest one day, you can let the pecs recover for the next couple of days while you train legs, or you train back, or you train arms, or whatever it may be. And the number of splits that you do through the week is determined by your availability, how committed you are, etc., etc. It's personal. Which is one of the reasons why we do so many boot camps, is to give people that full spectrum of Tabata, of like a really hard body part focused workout. Our traditional boot camp, you've got boxing for great for cardio. You name it. I do my best to try and cover all bases with these boot camps. How long should you train? Look, if you're spending, hours and hours and hours in the gym, you're there too long. You're throwing your life away. Let's be honest. There's a reason I don't do hour sessions. It's because you don't need it. If you're still training at your intensity, at the high intensity that you need after half an hour or 35, 40 minutes, you haven't worked hard enough. And that's not your intensity. So generally speaking, you can get a really good workout in about that 40-minute mark. Okay, any longer you tend to start flogging a dead horse. The last thing I want to touch on with training is to train with intent and train with intensity. So you go in with your plan, what we spoke about earlier on. You go in with your plan, with your goal in mind. Now, whether that is to spike the heart rate, if you're in the gym, where it could be just to get the best out of your squats, or out of your bench, or out of your deadlift, or whatever it is, whatever you're training that day, you go in and you train with that goal, with the intensity. So often that we see so many people come in, they drag their ass, they spend 30 minutes on a warm up, and they're just not getting the best out of their workout. They're wearing themselves down before they even start. So get in, do your warm up. You should be warm within sort of 5 minutes. And then you can go in and actually flog your workout, right? That's the big ones. What else have we got here? Oh, 8-week challenge. I don't want to get too carried away. That's about it for how to lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks. It's basics. I know I haven't given you any specific as such, anything specific, but they're the bones of it. You put that in, you add your nutrition, your 35, 35, and 30. You go in, you split your program up how you want to do it. you get into your boot camps, you follow the plan your trainer's given you, and you'll get there, right? 10 kilos over 8 weeks, it's 1.25 kilos a week, which is definitely doable. You should be able to do a little bit more. Just back on the keto, if like I lost 4 kilos in the first week, right, or three and a bit kilos in the first week, you should be able to do that, especially if you're going to hit ketosis. Of course, if you do want to learn a little bit more about that, let me know, and I will send you some info. Guys, if you do have any questions, now is your chance to throw anything up, whether that's on Facebook or through Zoom. We're going to spend a couple of minutes. If there's any questions, we'll answer these now, and then we'll get on to the 8-week challenge stuff. Nothing. Excellent. Alrighty. So if you're not doing the 8-week challenge, here we go. Carlo, recovery, which is the best way to go? It depends on you. It's a combination of a few things. You've got your stretches. You should always be stretching. You've got your mobility work. So generally that's your frog squats and whichever. It's usually hips that are tight. I know there's other joints, but yeah, stretching for your muscles, mobility for your joints. I would spend some personal time just with meditation and just to get the mindset right. Oh, we're talking nutrition? Okay. Okay, so nutrition. Carla, for you personally, again, there's no right or wrong way to go about this. It's going to be what works for your own lifestyle. Not only your lifestyle, but your budget. If you're going to spend $75 on top of protein, then the rest of the nutrition needs to be sort of spot on as well. Tell you what, Carla, we'll talk about this in depth tomorrow. But yeah, I'll chat to you tomorrow about this one, Carla, just so we can move on here. But it is a bit of it's a cool topic. I really do like the recovery side of things. Okay, if there's no more questions, we can jump on to the 8-week challenge. So if you're doing the 8-week challenge, this is the part that you want to take notes for. If you've got pen and paper handy, or take notes on your phone, this is what we're going to do. This is what's going to jumpstart your first week. So, number 1, create your plan. Okay, we spoke about this earlier. So you need to have that structure in place, and you're going to stick to that structure, okay? So I want everything in there. Time you wake up, time you do your teeth, time you make the bed, time you make lunches, time you train, time you work, time you travel, time you drop the kids at school. You get as specific as possible with your weekly structure. That goes on the fridge, the other one travels with you. So you know exactly what you should be doing and when, okay? And you don't skip out on that plan. If that plan doesn't work, if you've stuck to that plan and it doesn't work, then we change the plan, we tweak it a little bit, okay? But you need to stick to that plan. That plan needs to be designed to get you to your goals, right? All right, we're going to start prepping meals for the week as well. So depending on, again, which approach you want to take, whether it's the traditional approach with, with your sugars as an energy source, or if you want to go down the ketone track with me, like I'll be doing, prep your meals accordingly. Definitely, I recommend everybody look at least keto-inspired meals. from previous experience, and anybody who's done one of these challenges before know that it's so difficult to get your protein levels up. Protein is the big macronutrient that so many people struggle with. So keto inspired, and I'm not going to say that everybody has to do keto because it's not for everybody, but keto inspired meals, they're generally based around high protein, high fat. So you can just add your carbs to that, right? If you're not going to go down keto, just add your carbs, add a little bit of rice. That's all there is to it. So you definitely based those meals around a good quality protein source, a good quality fat, and then you can add your good quality carbs. Bam, there's your macros hit for the day. Look, this is going to sound a silly one, but clean washing. Look, the amount of people that bail on sessions because, oh, I haven't got a clean, clean tights, or I haven't got a clean workout shirt. Do your washing. It's not hard. Make sure they're prepped, they're folded, they're in the gym bag, they're ready to go. Have your towel, have your water bottle prepped, have your BCAAs done, have your ketones ready to go, have your protein shake ready. Get prepared with it. Okay, that is the big one. Have it there, ready to go. You can grab it on the way out. If you're swinging by the gym on the way home from work, if you're swinging by a boot camp, if you're down with me after work, cool. Have it in the front seat. Guilt yourself into coming to your sessions. That's how they're going to get results. It's going to be that consistent. And again, all of these approaches can be refreshed in one of our previous videos. I think it was the motivation one again. I'm not too sure. But we did cover all this in a previous video. Again, flick back through our YouTube. I'm sure it's on there somewhere. The rest of this stuff here, this bit, it relates to your nutrition. Okay, this is where these challenges are won and lost. Okay, so I am going to do your macronutrients. So I'm going to get your calorie goal, and you're going to base all of your nutrition around your calories and your macronutrients. So proteins, carbs, and fats, right? Like we covered earlier. Okay, any eggs that you do. And I'm not going to, I know there's some vegetarians that are doing this and some vegans, so bear with me on this, but I'm just going to try and cover everything in a broad light because I know we are way behind time. All eggs, any sort of eggs that you do must be free range. That's the big things for the chickens actually on that one. Okay, limit the beef to 3 times per week, at a maximum of 3 times per week. Has to do with the acidity in the beef. Okay, we're going to cut down the gluten and the processed carbohydrates. So gluten tends to be related to bloating, and it doesn't, generally speaking, it doesn't quite sit right in the tummy. Okay, processed carbohydrates, if it's held together, it's processed, right? So breads, pastas, all of that sort of stuff. Note that I've got down less processed carbs, right? So this is in no way designed to say that you cannot have a certain food. Okay, I know I'm looking at on the right-hand side here, no salts and no takeaways and that sort of stuff. That's not food, right? We're talking actual food. Less processed carbohydrates, less dairy as well. There's quite a lot of fats in dairy, so we're going to try and cut that back a little bit. I believe, what is it, soy milk or almond milk, one of the two, is okay in moderation. Fruits, again, we're going to try and, we're not going to try, we're going to do, where we're going to cut down on our sugary fruits, but, stick to your berries, your pineapple, your avo, all your fibrous fruits. Banana is fine. Sort of, this is where it starts to get a little bit messy in terms of sugars versus micronutrients, and will eating the sugar outweigh the increase in micronutrients or vice versa. So do your own, take your own best judgment on it, right? But generally speaking, berries, pineapple, avo are quite good. Okay, this is the fun stuff. No added salt, no sugar, no sauces. Okay, this is where we start to get strict. This is where the challenge is won or lost. No added salt, including in all these processed stuff, that the processed food-like products that you're going to have. No added salt, no added sugar, and no added sauces, right? So we're going to keep things as natural as possible. If you do want a bit of extra flavor, use your turmerics, your herbs, your garlics, ginger, basil, curry, chili, all of that stuff, because they're brilliant. They're a natural product. They come from the earth, and you can have a lot of fun with that one. No takeaway, no chocolate, no ice cream, no sweets. This is going to throw a few people. It's, let's be quite clear. Like, you go to a burger joint, and like a hamburger, just a general takeaway hamburger, is about 600 odd calories of free. I think it's about 50% fat, depending on where you go, of course. Not to mention all the big name players, all the fast food chains. It's absolute crap. It's not an actual food. It's a food-like product. And I'm not going to say don't have them ever again, because, hey, we're going to be out and about, and that might be the only option. You're better off to have something than to start skipping meals. But for the first week, at least in the challenge, no takeaway, no chocolate, no ice cream, no sweets. Any sort of nuts that you have, cashews, for example, or walnuts, they're all raw, they're unsalted. Nothing's added to them. Protein, if you are going to be using, thanks, Belle. Just got a message talking about the fun police. Well, we want results, right? Protein, if you're going to be using a protein powder, which I believe I had a police hat at one stage there. I'm not going to get into where the handcuffs are. Yeah, boom, boom. Protein, back on track. Protein powder, you can't have a laugh, there's something wrong. If you're going to have protein powder, have it with water, not dairy. Okay, it will take a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it will sit a whole lot better in the tummy. And of course, you're cutting back the calories that you would have with your milks. You're going to stick to the herbal tea, the protein, the water, as we just said. No milk or sugar with your coffee, and no more than 2 coffees each day maximum. Okay, so we all know milk and sugar. Let's put that away. But no more than 2 a day. Coffee is actually a diuretic. It will dehydrate you. So we do try and limit our intake of that each day. 2 coffees, it's about that 300 milligram mark for caffeine, which is actually industry standard of recommendations. So enjoy. Cool, guys. That's your first week for your 8-week challenge. I think that's all I had on that one. We have gone ridiculously over time. Even half strength. Coffee, half strength. Again, if you wanted to use black coffee at half strength, so long as you hit around that 2 serves, or actually, I think, what is it, 2 coffees each day. I think that's based on about 1.5 teaspoons of coffee. So traditionally, 3 cups of coffee with 1 teaspoon of coffee granules. We're talking instant coffee, right? So that's, if you want to drag it out, add more water, add a bigger cup, but still only add that 1 teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoons of coffee granules to your serve. Okay, so 100 and, follow me? Cool. I've got here, what about yogurt? Yogurt is a difficult one because there is so much crap on the market at the moment. Greek yogurt is obviously one of the better options out there, unflavored, not vanilla, but unflavored. Again, we're cutting down on the sugars. If it's set in the pot, even better. It can be a little bit tart in flavor, so that's where you can add your berries, add your pineapple, add your fruits, all that sort of stuff. Cool. Any other questions before we start to wrap this up? We're sweet by the looks of things. Awesome. Yes, Belle, bananas are okay. I wouldn't go overboard with them. Again, I'd probably limit myself to 2. Depends on the size of the person, to be quite honest. Obviously, if you're 60 kilos, you're not going to need as much as somebody who's 100, 110 kilos, right? Look, for you, I wouldn't go more than 1.5 bananas each day. That's a stab in the dark without knowing all the ins and outs of your body. Cool. Anything else, team, before we call it a night? Anyone on Facebook have any issues, any questions? Excellent. Cool. Awesome, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Again, if you're on Zoom, check your emails. Tomorrow I'll be sending you out a little gift. Just getting distracted here with all the Facebook stuff. Cool. Check your emails tomorrow. If you're on Zoom, I'm going to be emailing you out a little gift. Check the spam file. Apparently, there's been a few issues where it's been going to spam. It's not. It's me. Cool, guys. Have a good night. If you're interested in doing the 8-week challenge, it starts this Sunday, 22nd of September. Reach out to me and we're going to hook you up. I actually worked it out. We're sitting at, if I was to sell all these things individually, you'd be looking at about $1,000, or just a fraction under $1,000 worth of value here. Yeah, super cool challenge in line, guys. Fitness testing, I'll get back to everybody on that. And yeah, let's do it. Have a good night, guys. And I've got to figure out how to end this. Cool. There we go. See you guys. I will chat to you soon.